Well, welcome to another episode of Port Charles Chat. I'm Mom.
And I'm Brandon.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
All right, Brandon, are you ready to talk about another week of General Hospital?
Mom, I sure am. How about you?
I sure am, Brandon. And we are talking about the week of September 22nd through September 26th. On the day of recording, it is September 27th. All right, Brandon, get started. First of all, Nathan. Nathan has returned from the dead. Nathan was brought in into the hospital. He had a car accident, and that happened the end of last week. And at the beginning of this week, he is in the hospital, and he has actually woken up, and he knows his name, and he remembers everything from 7 years ago. So it appears as though he has lost the last 7 years. He does ask about Maxie. He speaks to Nina, and Nina is very excited to speak with him. The person who was actually shocked, truly shocked, well, everyone was shocked, was Felicia. Felicia's reaction to me was probably the most realistic. She kind of looked at him, and I think she kind of walked away afterwards because she really didn't know what to think. So I thought that was a very appropriate reaction. She was later she spoke to Cody, and she kind of mentioned that she was worried about James and what James's reaction would be if when and if he were to see his father. So that's it about Nathan. Basically, they just kind of introduced him being back. Brandon, did I leave out anything about Nathan?
No, I mean he definitely had some sort of bonding time, so to speak, with Nina, and got to sort of speak with Anna a little bit. But yeah, definitely Felicia is shocked and has no idea how to proceed forward.
Yep, she sure doesn't. All right. Our next person I'm going to talk about is Cody. Um, Cody, and I know it's a little oddball little storyline, and I'm not quite sure where they're going with this, but Cody is allowed to keep the dog out back. And so that actually begins the week. Uh, and so the dog is able to remain at the Quartermains. Apparently, at this point in time, Rocco and Charlotte are quite fine with the dog being there because Rocco spends half his time at the Quartermains anyway. So Cody is going to keep the dog. Molly, on the other hand, has a conversation with her mother, and she tells Alexis that she does have some feelings for Cody. And so she kind of talks about this with Alexis. And and then one last thing that happened before we go into the big thing that happened this week is that Portia and Curtis have broken up once more. A lot of family discussion around this, but Portia and Curtis have broken up again. All right, Brandon, before we go into the Monica storyline, did I leave anything out?
I think for the most part, that is it with that portion.
All righty. And so the for this week, the episodes really tended to be about Monica. And on their show, of course, Monica has passed away. She, in real life, Leslie Charleston, passed away earlier this year, and so they have written this into the storyline. And Monica is, for those people who are unfamiliar, has been a doctor in General Hospital for many, many years, and she's been a part of the General Hospital family for years. And so I think I could honestly say over 30 years. I think that she's been on General Hospital, if not longer. I know it's much longer than that, but so they written in her death, and Jason last week was the one to find her, and so now we have a lot of moments with Jason and with and Tracy being together, and then we have the rest of the family who kind of finds out about it also. And so Tracy, of course, is overwhelmed with everything that with her feelings about Monica being gone, and so she decides to run away to a casino. um, Lulu actually is the one who actually kind of has an idea where she thinks Tracy is. And so Brooklyn and Ned go to the casino. And when they go there, Lois is actually there. And Lois is the person who is actually, I think, the Quartermaid's called to kind of keep an eye on her. And so once they get there, Ned has some words with his mother and kind of helps her through and brings her back. Now, in the meantime, what I thought was really nice was that they let Lois and Brooklyn have moments together. And so I guess it's the way to begin their bond of healing with each other again. Um, the funeral for Monica does take place on Thursday and Friday, and many of the townspeople for Port Charles do come. They make a point of saying that it is a private ceremony for family and close friends. And so all of well, not all, but many of Monica's relatives do get up and speak. That includes Michael and Jason, Ned, and some other people. What is surprising, or at least for the group there at the funeral, is that Drew actually shows up. Drew believes that he is Monica's daughter, and so he does come. He kind of, I guess, lets himself. He leaves the hospital to go there, and in the midst of the service, when everyone sees him there, um, Tracy was not happy about this, and Tracy wheeled him off. And she wheeled him off and closed the door, and then began to speak in regards to her regards about her sister-in-law at the funeral itself. And then at the very end of the episode, we do see that Tracy meets a strange person at the Quartermain crypt. The lady does look at her and say, "You are Tracy, correct?" or something like that. And so Tracy's left to ask, "Well, who are you?" And that is how General Hospital ended. And so, Brandon, did I leave anything out in regards to Monica?
No, I mean, I think you covered everything perfectly, and I did look up the character of Monica, and so her played by Leslie Charleston was actually the seventh longest serving character in an American soap opera.
Oh, wow. Did it say how many years she'd been on there?
So she herself had been on there for 46 years, but given that her last time was 2023, that's what it counts. But she overall began in 1977, so 48 years ago.
Yeah, okay, that's much longer than I thought. So, yes, that is a long time to be on a soap opera. And I do remember watching her when I started watching General Hospital in the mid 80s. And so, anyway, so let's talk about our performers of the week. I had several this week. First of all, Jason and Tracy. I thought they did excellent jobs this week. Jason, who is the tough guy, he did a good job playing the emotional person. And then Tracy also did a really nice job too. And so I have to give both of them kudos. But then I also have some other people who I thought did a good job. Felicia did a very nice job also. Her reaction to seeing Nathan, I thought, was remarkable. And so she did a nice job with that. And then Lulu, which surprises me as being one of the characters who I don't normally think of as characters of the week, but she did a nice job this week too. She had a kind of calmness to her that she doesn't normally have. And she kind of was a voice of reason to a lot of them. So I did like the way Lulu performed this week. So those are my four performers of the week. Brandon, what about you?
Yeah, so I definitely fully agree with what you're saying. I mean, I definitely feel that Lulu has been the calmest that she has been, and I feel has been working towards all of the major plots lately. And then in terms of even and then in terms of all of the other plots as well, Felicia definitely stood out, especially at the beginning of the week. And yeah, I mean there's so many, so I'm just gonna agree with what you were saying.
Okay. All right. Now we have our amusing scenes of the week because even in these tough hours, there were couple amusing scenes. One of them was actually at the funeral itself because Tracy kicked out Drew, and that I thought was kind of funny. That was one of the scenes of the week for me. Actually, Molly speaking to Alexis about Cody, I kind of got a kick out of that also. And then Lucy speaking at the funeral also. That was an amusing scene for me because she did make reference to Alan and the fact that she was married to him. But she said a lot of positive and nice things about Monica. And so these are my amusing scenes of the week. What about you, Bran?
Yes, I'm gonna say, for my amusing scenes of the week, it definitely has to be with Lucy, especially as she's relayed everything back to herself, And I just thought that whole thing with her throughout the week has been amusing. And I certainly also liked the interactions that Lois and Tracy had, even though that will also fit for another category that we're going to hit in a little bit. But I thought it was amusing as well.
All right. Then, as for touching scenes of the week, of course, at the funeral and everything that involved that was very touching. Um, Jason, at the very end of Friday's episode, when he walked up the stairs saying that he loved Monica, I really like that scene because it is so unlike the character itself that I really like the way Jason was acting then. And then I really thought they did a good job on the flashback scenes in which were there at that point in time. When Jason was going up the stairs, there were some flashback scenes that occurred. And I really liked the way they did that. And I liked the way they had. They showed Monica when she first started on General Hospital, and then they led to almost close to the end for some of her last scenes. So I thought they did a really nice job of incorporating that. And then I liked that they showed, her kids, and to include Emily, who I was really surprised that they did that. But I'm happy that they did include Emily. Now they left out Dawn, who was her daughter, but I like that they included Emily and of course Jason, and I believe AJ was in a scene also. And then I also like that Gio was at the funeral. I thought they did a nice job of showing that he's slowly beginning to bond with his parents. Even though he's not saying much to them, I thought it was very respectful for him to come to the funeral. All right, Brandon, what were your touching scenes of the week?
I fully agree with you. And I mean, first of all, speaking about, yeah, of course, with the funeral, as I just said in my previous note, I do really like the scene that Lois and Tracy had, and then Tracy with practically everyone over the course of the week. Same with Jason. And I'd say that there's so many people that I thought did a great job in remembering Monica, and I just thought it was just so well done. Even those who couldn't be here were at least acknowledged for the most part in some capacity or another.
Yeah, and then as an honorable mention, I did like Michael up there too. I thought Michael did a nice job, so I will give kudos to Michael too. Uh,
Absolutely.
all right. Now, General Hospital had, to me too, you may have noticed some, Brandon, there were two missing things that kind of went on this week. And one of them was at the Quartermain Mansion. Jason was speaking to a group, and to the group in the kitchen. And he said he had a story that he and Monica had shared together. And so I'm waiting for the story because Jason doesn't tell stories like that. And there was no story. That was a moment I wish they had followed through with and let him tell a story that is funny and he's bonding with his family. So I wish they had just let him tell that story. And then the other thing that I noticed was missing, sort of, was, of course, I've already mentioned before, was Dawn being a Monica's montage because she was her daughter. I know some of this comes down to if they have the capability of actually showing the montage because of the actress or things like that. That part I do know. However, I think they could have made mention of her because they did go back and forth with, and that was what I noticed inconsistent was whether or not was how many children did Monica have. And so Dawn was her biological daughter, so I think that's one that they should have said on as they included the children, but they did not. They weren't consistent with the amount of children depending on the time period and who was speaking about Monica. And the people who I'm referencing are really her family members who uh, would have known about Dawn being there. All right, Brandon, did you notice any other missing scenes?
Yeah. So earlier in the week, when especially when Lulu, Ned, and Michael were remembering Monica, it had it where Lulu was sort of coming into the room, and the next thing we know, Brooklyn, and Ned are in the middle of a conversation, I believe with Michael even. And that happened a few times at the beginning of the week, where someone will come in saying something about Monica, you see them at the beginning, and then all of a sudden they're at the end of a conversation.
Yeah, and well, I did notice that too at the end of Friday's episode. I believe there was a scene in the kitchen, and everyone was talking, and the next thing we know, they were all out of the kitchen. But they were seeming to have a good time in the kitchen at some point. So there's that gap in there. To me, there should have been some closure in on some of that they didn't do. All right. And then I want to talk about a mistake that I saw in the episode itself. And besides the inconsistency with Monica's children, another mistake that we kind of caught came from Curtis. Curtis was speaking to to his dad. And in the midst of speaking to his dad, he called him the wrong name. And it kind of popped up for us because I always have the words that come up when I watch TV and movies. And so as I was watching, I noticed that they used the word Bob. And I know that the actor who plays Curtis's dad, his real name's Robert, so I'm assuming he goes by Bob. I caught that he called his dad Bob instead of calling him Dad or Marshall. So I got a kick out of that. Brandon, I think you caught that too while we were watching.
Yeah, that definitely was fun. So I don't know. Maybe he's not Curtis's dad after all. Maybe he's just random Bob guy, or maybe that's their alibi now.
I know. So anyway, so I got a kick out of that for a mistake. Okay, let's talk about our suspects of the week. Let's see. Once more, I'm not changing my suspects of the week for this week, and I'm speaking to regards to who shot Drew. And so Willow, Portia, and Stella are still my top three right now. What are your thoughts, Brandon?
I'm going to add Marshall to the list.
You added Marshall now. I was not thinking about Marshall. Understand why you're adding him in. I don't think he did it, but I understand why you're adding him on.
Well, if you notice that when he came to his family, that he came sort of abruptly. I mean, we knew that he was coming in. They've mentioned that for a few weeks, but no one ever mentioned the fact that Curtis was on the suspect list, and all of a sudden he came in saying that we need to go get Curtis' alibi real quick.
Yeah, that is true too. True too. All right. As for fast forward scenes for this week, I didn't have any. What about you?
No fast forward scenes, but I did actually want to go back to the suspect list.
Oh, go ahead.
So before this week commenced, not that long after we recorded the last discussion, there was someone that I think we overlooked that should be on the suspect list.
Okay, who's that?
Jordan.
Yeah, we did talk about that. We talked about that offline. Yes, we did mention Jordan. I don't think Jordan did it. I think that's what I told you. I don't think she did. However, she's a good suspect to add to our list of 28 that we had, but which is kind of growing now. Now that Nathan's back, because we don't know what kind of damage Nathan has in regards to his memory. And then we also, although I don't know why Nathan would do something to Drew, however, we don't know what's going on with him. And then, like you said, with Jordan also, and then with Marshall coming back, that just added to the list of other people who could possibly do, who could have been after Drew.
Yeah, and my justification for Jordan is that one, she's working for Sidwell,
Mm-hmm.
and she's been awfully quiet lately. We haven't really heard much commotion, and she has the same sort of sketchy alibi that Curtis
Curtis
has.
says.
And then she also wants to get back at Portia. And what better way than to sort of frame Portia, so to speak, because Portia has much more of a motive than Jordan does. Not to mention that Jordan is indirectly connected to so many people that Curtis is trying to harm. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that Drew's trying to harm. That I think that would give her such a perfect motive, but also that because she's kept her composure, so to speak, is that she wouldn't be on the suspect list.
Yeah, and it appears as though the whole Curtis family, with the exception of Trina, is part of the suspect list. So we'll have to see where that kind of leads to. All right. And I'm sorry, did you have any other people?
No, unless you want to add in the non-existent TJ.
Well, why not? All right. So I got some welcome backs. Welcome back to Marshall. Welcome back to Nathan. And welcome back to Lois. So it was good to see all three of them this week. All right, Brandy, did I leave anyone else out for welcome backs?
In terms of welcome backs, not to my knowledge.
Okay. And we did have to say goodbye to Monica this week. And I don't think there was anyone else we said goodbye to.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, then we had some people missing. Well, we always have people missing at General Hospital. I had a TJ back, which I think is interesting. I had him on last week, and I don't know. Part of me thinks it's just time to bring him back. And then Terry is missing again because she should have been at the funeral. So Terry was missing. And then we have Rick, who is still in the basement missing. And then I don't think we saw Ava this week.
I don't think we saw Ava.
I don't, and I say think, I don't think we did. Um, I'm not quite sure about Christina. I cannot remember. But anyway, those are the people missing this week. Anyone else that I missed?
Not to my knowledge.
All right. As for next week, I'm kind of looking forward to, of course, the mysterious lady at the Court of Mains because we know that Erica Slazak is coming and she is there, and I really liked her and would like to live. So I can't wait to see what kind of actress, what kind of role she's going to play this week on General Hospital. This week from General Hospital, they say that it's supposed to be short term, so we'll see if it really is. All right, Brandon, what are you looking forward to for next week?
Oh yeah, well I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what type of role she's going to play, and I'm also very curious about what Martin is going to do in terms of where he stands. I don't think that he is going to go anywhere as far as Drew wants him to go. I think he's actually somewhat working against Drew, but I don't think he's also on Team Quartermain by any means necessary because I think he's also still trying to stick it to Tracy. So I think he's trying to figure out a way to sort of stick it to both of them at the same time.
Yeah, that is true too. He is in love with Stella. So, or and my thoughts are, hey, maybe Martin did it for Stella. Anyway, so so that'll be interesting to watch. All right, Brett. Oh, go ahead. You're thinking.
I never thought about that.
Oh,
Does that work with the timeline? I guess it does work with the
it
timeline.
would work. We don't know where Martin was.
Huh.
and
Is he anyone's lawyer for this?
well, you're
Is
right.
he,
He's not anyone's lawyer. I
or is he
think he.
Curtis's lawyer?
Well, I think he was a. He might be Curtis's lawyer. But I don't know if that means he is actually going to continue being Curtis's lawyer. I know he was with Curtis when he went to the police station, but that was before Drew trying to lure Martin back in.
Yeah, that's certainly going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Yeah, I never thought about him as a suspect. Was he already on the list that we made?
Oh, everyone's on the list of 28. So maybe it's 30 now. I don't know. But anyway, I'll have to pull up the list again to see if I had him on there.
Cool. And yeah, but Mom, since we mentioned Erica Slazak's character, going back through the list of all-time soap opera longest-serving characters, is Monica is on the list for worldwide um, on the list at I believe number 26 for longest-serving ever soap opera character.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible.
Yes, and so she tops the chart in terms of General Hospital. But if we're going to go to One Life to Live, Erica Slazak is on the list as number 43 for 41 years at One Life to Live.
Yes, and I did watch Victoria Lord on One Life to Live, so I know her well off of that show. All right, Brandon. Unless I say, did you have anything else?
No, actually, I did want to just mention one more thing that's sort of, I guess, uh, category in of itself, and that not necessarily a return, but I guess a brought back through flashbacks, and I just want to go back to that sequence that they showed from Monica, and that we got to see archival footage of Alan.
Yeah, we did, and I know you weren't familiar with Alan, but yes, he did. He played a pivotal role on General Hospital as Monica's husband, and so I was glad to see that they were able to show clips of him, and like I said, and the other children. So I was very very happy to see that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they were going to do it, but I'm glad that they sort of surprised us and left it towards the end because it really seemed like they weren't going to be able to do that for majority of the week.
Yes, yes, I'm happy that they did that. All right. Well, we thank everybody for watching today, and we look forward to speaking with you next week.
Have a wonderful day.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.